Hello, designers. This is Rebecca, and this is your assignment 6 final presentation book layout critique. So let's just run through the specs real fast before we get started. Using Adobe InDesign, you're going to create a layout for the beginning of your novel. The required specs are that it must be created in InDesign, not in Illustrator or Photoshop. It must be 6 by 9 inches, CMYK, portrait format only. Must include the following pages: the front outside cover, the front inside cover, the title page, the publishing page, the table of contents, chapter 1, and however many pages you needed for that, the inside back cover, and the outside back cover. You must also include the revised versions of your setting poster, your hero or heroine image, your villain image, and the cover design, not including the spine. Your chapter must include your chapter title, headers, footers, page numbers, body copy, and gutters and margins. You may use placeholder text. You can't have any typos, and must be uploaded as a PDFX 2008 file. So let's go ahead and get started. First up, we have Megan Ems. Megan did Crazy Rich Asians. This cover is gorgeous. Still, I really love all the texture that you have in here, and the design is just really beautiful. I love the color palette. The whole feel of it is just fantastic. Let's check out the inside cover. Okay, great. Nice choice to just make it a solid color. That's great. Here's our title page. It looks beautiful with our publishing information at the bottom. It looks really professional. Really, really good. Then over here, we have our publisher information. Perfect. You typed it all out. You're incredible. Amazing. It looks wonderful. Table of contents is super clean. Looks really nice. So usually the table of contents is also going to include the page numbers. So that's easily addable especially if you were to justify your alignment. Okay, but it looks really nice, and I don't see any typos. Looks good. I'm so happy to see chapter 1 is started on the right-hand side. Really beautiful. You typed it all out? No. Okay, good. I like that you typed out your first sentence. It looks really nice. This is great. Really nice font choice options. Good. I see your headers at the top and your page numbers. Really nice. I like your placement of your image there, of your villain image. It looks really nice. Good. This looks great with your settings poster. Gorgeous. Really good. Great. I love the hero image. Looks awesome. I'm just going to keep going through. It looks really beautiful. Good. And so we have our inside back cover is a nice solid color. It looks good. And your back cover is perfect. Really great. So something I'm going to point out that I didn't mention before, and so, it's nobody's fault for not including this, but um, this right here is called an orphan when we have one word by itself on a line and it's less than 7 characters. So this one is 6 characters. Same with up here is another little orphan. So when you get something like that, you would just select the sentence, since this is only one sentence long, or you can select the entire paragraph, and then you would change your tracking to be either positive or minus 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and at the absolute most 30 in either positive or negative increments. And what that's going to do is if you go negative with it, it'll run back this word up into the line above it. And then if you go with a positive amount, it's going to drop the word above it down onto the line below. So then there's no longer just 7 or less than 7 characters on that second line. So that is called an orphan. I notice right here we have an extra indentation there. So just keep that in mind. Let me just look at a couple other things here. Come on, let's go. There we go. Great. Good, good. Yeah, so everything else looks really great. Okay, really fantastic work. This is so beautiful. I love it so much, Megan. The other thing that's kind of strange about this file is that it's super humongous. It's 87 megs. So I'm not sure if it's because of this poster. One of the images that you plugged in is very large. So it's making the file humongous. So just check on that when you turn in future things for other classes. If you have a really gigantic file, it's usually because of one of the source files is really large. But you did a fantastic job. Thank you so much. Next up is Christine. Christine's book is Paper Towns. Christine, your cover looks fantastic. Let's check out the rest. Oh, sorry, I jumped too far ahead. Okay, so for your inside cover, you used your settings poster. Looks good. Ooh, I like your title page. That's really pretty. Really cool. And I like seeing your little publisher logo at the bottom. Looks great. We got our publisher page looking good. I love these arrows and lines going through everything. It's a really nice way to tie it all together. Your table of contents is beautiful. I love these little pins as kind of ways to separate each chapter. It looks really cute, really nice. Great. Okay, and this is chapter 1. We got this pin coming back into our theme. And we have our hero picture there. We have a footer and a header. Let me see what comes next. Okay, good. So just to let you know, page 1 is going to be the first page of your chapter. So when you're doing your page numbers, make sure they don't start until the actual body of the book starts, which is usually chapter 1, or if there's an intro or something like that, it might start on that page as well. Okay? Let me just look at yeah. So your table of contents is numbered correctly though, so that's good. That's good. Great. I love this horizontal rule that you used and this nice huge drop cap. Really great. Good. Oh, this is so cute. I love that you're separating the section here of your chapter with the pins. That's a really nice touch. So you used a real thick font for the whole book. That looks good. It looks really nice. Oh my gosh, I just realized that you typed this all out. You are incredible. Wow. Really beautiful. I see your villain picture. Looks really wonderful too. Okay, so you used your villain picture as the inside back cover. Got it. Great. Wow. And your back cover looks fantastic. So really nice work here. Looks so good. And I don't see any, good. That looks great. So the only thing here is that we have an extra space here between our paragraphs, and I don't see that anywhere else where it's not separated by these little pins. So I don't know if it's intentional or not, but just, when you're laying future things out, you're formatting it, just make sure you catch stuff like that, okay? Great work, Christine. Thank you so much. Next up is Valeria. Valeria's book is Love in the Time of Cholera. Okay, we have our front cover. Good. We used just a solid color for the inside cover. Your title page looks really nice. I like seeing this publisher logo down here. Usually we don't have a page number on the title page. The page number is going to start in the actual body of the book, but I like the font that you chose for your page numbers. This publisher page looks really nice. You typed it all out, looks great. So we got our table of contents. So the table of contents is not going to usually include these things here, but it will include your chapters and the chapter numbers as well as the pages that you flip to. So just keep that in mind in the future, and then also make sure it's all aligned. You've got an extra space here before cover, if you see that. And then everything's capitalized except for the word copyright. So just look at those little details in future formatting, okay? But I'm happy to see your chapter 1 is starting over here on the right-hand side. Looks really great. We have really beautiful choices here with your colors and your font size to show some visual hierarchy. Really nice. Great. Usually we want to have at least an indent or an extra line space, one or the other, to separate your paragraphs. Okay, so same with on all these paragraphs. You're going to have either an extra line space between the two or indent the new paragraphs, okay? But I see a nice heading at the top, looks good, and your page numbers look great at the bottom. We've got our hero image, and our settings poster, I believe. Yes, so the settings poster is a little huge. We need to scale it down so we could see all of it, okay? And then, good, your villain poster looks great. I'm sorry, villain image. And then you've got our inside back cover and our outside back cover. Great. Thank you so much, Valeria. Good work. Next up is Andres. Andre did Judo Boy. Andre, this looks so great. I'm so happy to see the name of the book and the author on the cover. It looks wonderful. We've got our inside front cover. You used your settings poster. Yeah, it looks good. Really nice. Then we've got our title page looks great. I love the little image of the guys down there. It looks wonderful. We've got our publisher page looks good. I love this silhouette. This is really nice. Your table of contents looks really good. So usually on the table of contents, we don't need to include these two things. We just start at the chapters, or if there's an introduction, we would include that. But this looks really good. I love these ellipses that you used. And your page numbers and the alignment looks nice. Good work. Oh, so it is usually, if you're going to have it stretch across, we do want to justify the alignment instead of just left alignment, but overall it looks really great. Good, I'm so happy to see your page, your title page starting on the right side, and the different sizes that you used for your title copy looks great. Your chapter title copy, I should say. Looks good. So I would drop the word the down on the line with park, just so there's more characters down here to look a little bit more balanced. But this looks good. I'm happy to see that you chose to do an extra line space to separate your paragraphs and that you didn't also indent, so that looks fantastic. We got our page numbers at the bottom. Great, you played with some columns. That's good. I'm happy to see that you experimented a bit. We've got our headers at the top, looks good. Great. Yay. Okay, we got our villain poster there, which I love so much. We even added chapter 2. Very nice. Really good. And a chapter 3. Woo, above and beyond. Good. This looks good. Great. Great job, Andre. Way to go. Next up is Julianne. Julianne's book is 1984. Julianne, I'm not sure what happened. We lost your numbers here. I know I've seen them before on that book cover, so I don't know what happened there, but I still love this design so much. Let's check out your inside cover. Oops, sorry. Great. So you put a little, like an inside tab with the synopsis of the book. Really beautiful. I love seeing this texture carry on over here. Looks great. Your title page looks very professional, really clean, and I love seeing the publishing information at the bottom. Great font choice, really nice. Your publisher page looks really good. I can't believe you typed that all out. Way to go, it looks amazing. It looks really pro, that's great. Your table of contents looks beautiful too. The alignment is really nice and yeah, it looks really good. We've got all the correct page numbers here. Looks good, looks really good. Really nice. So we have this travel poster looks fantastic. I love it. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. I love it so much. I love these zeppelins in the air with the spotlights coming down. Awesome, really cool. Your chapter looks great starting on the right-hand page. I'm happy to see that this is page 1 here, starting there. Looks really nice, really nice. So only one thing, just check on where your paragraphs end, that you indent them each time, just for future formatting for other projects, all right? But having this nice change in font size to help show visual hierarchy looks really fantastic. Good, we've got your headers at the top. Good, and then I see most of your paragraphs are indented. There's a few that needed little extra indents, not extra indents, but needed to be indented as well. Okay, let's keep going. Come on, let's go. There we go. Wow, you included a chapter 2. I love this image so much. It looks so fantastic. This is nice. You typed in the first sentence of the chapter. It looks really beautiful. We need an indent here at this paragraph. You can also add, sometimes when you're using placeholder text and you're like doing line breaks and stuff to create new paragraphs, just be sure to include little punctuation at the end of the sentences, okay? And then these ones aren't indented at all. So just, keep that in mind. This looks great. Looks really good. I love seeing this villain image. And chapter 3, wow, really nice work. Beautiful. This looks fantastic. This inside back cover flap looks really nice with the information on the author and the photo there. Beautiful. Really nice work. Really good. I recommend left aligning this just because we usually don't want to center align text that's more than 4 lines long. It just makes it a little hard for the eye to track it back and forth, and the reader usually stops reading after a few lines when it becomes exhaustive like that for their vision. So we always left align stuff that's longer than 4 rows of text, okay? And then the back cover looks fantastic. Looks really good with that barcode and the information you have down there. So one more thing I'd like to bring to your attention that I didn't mention before. Sorry, I'm just trying to find one here. Okay, so these right here are called orphans. Right here is one, and right here is one. So, sorry, not that one. Right here. Ah, come on now. Right there. Wait, this. Okay, so when you have a word that's on a line by itself at the end of a paragraph that is less than 7 characters long, including the punctuation can count as one of the 7 characters. We refer to this as an orphan. So we don't want to have any orphans throughout our work. So the way to solve this is that you can select the entire paragraph or just the sentence that it's in, one or the other. You can experiment with it. And then from there, you would adjust your tracking in InDesign to be a positive or a negative increment of like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, up to 30 at the absolute most. So if you go in positive increments, then what will happen is the word or words above, on the line above it, they'll drop down to be next to this word. So they'll no longer be only 7 or less than 7 characters down there. And if you go in negative increments, it will run back, is what we call it, the word on the bottom to the line above it so that it'll be included with the rest of the paragraph, okay? So that's how you solve orphans throughout your work. Then let's go ahead and check out the other pages. Come on, there we go. Great. Let me just see if there's an example of something else on here. So this right here is called a widow. So a widow is when one line of a paragraph is by itself on a page or in a column. So we want to have the one line of text. It can be at the beginning of the paragraph or at the end of a paragraph. We want it to be included with the rest of the paragraph. So what we can do then is, for this one, we would adjust one of the paragraphs above it to be either a negative or a positive increment in the tracking, just like fixing the orphan, okay? So this one right here, I could do a negative amount to try to get this line to run back to be included with the lines above them, or I can do a positive increment on a larger paragraph like this one right here, and then turn this into having one more extra line of text, which would then bump this widow up here to start on the next page. Okay, so I hope that all makes sense. That's just some more intermediate formatting advice for upcoming classes where you need to format a bunch of text like this, okay? So great work. Thank you so much. Next up is Anthony. Anthony's book is The Great Gatsby. Here's your gorgeous cover. I love it so much. I love all this texture that you have in here by adding the noise. It looks so good. Looks really nice. Oops, sorry, the grain. Oh, this looks so good too. The inside front cover. I love it. I love the diagonal road and the high beams there. Oh my gosh, it's so cool with the circle behind it. Really nice, really beautiful contrast. Really cool. Great work. Your title page is really beautiful. Usually the title page will include the author's name, but it's a really lovely illustration. Looks fantastic. Look at this. Oh, this is so cool. I love how you treated your travel poster. You added these little reviews here. Looks really cool. Nice work. Your table of contents is really unique as well. We've got our um, your hero image, I'm sorry, your villain image, as well as more of these illustrated little, your car with the headlights. I just love it so much. Really neat, beautiful. You're continuing to have this diagonal composition, which looks really great. Cool way to lay out your contents in little columns like that. Looks really nice. Good. So just check your alignment. So even though it's rotated, you could still do a left alignment. Oh, I understand what happened here. Okay, you probably aligned them individually. So you could create a guide by just turning on your rulers, just like in Illustrator or Photoshop. You can do that in InDesign as well, and then you can line these guys up, okay? But it looks really cool. This looks great. I'm glad to see chapter 1 starting on the right-hand side. You added even more imagery here. We've got our hero picture here with a nice little quote up there at the top. I love seeing color in your chapter 1 text there. It looks really nice. Good work. We started on page 1 on this page. Good. Look at this border you created. You really went all out. This is really lovely. Really nice. I'm happy to see your paragraphs are separated visually by just an indent. Good. It looks really good. Really nice. I love how you treated your headers up there. It looks so good. Really good. Good. We have this cool image for your backside inside cover, back inside cover, and your beautiful outside back cover. Looks so fantastic. So good. Really nice work. Great. So something I want to bring to your attention. This is something that I didn't mention before, but it's my duty to tell you about it now. This right here is called an orphan. So an orphan is when we have a word by itself at the end of a paragraph that is less than 7 characters altogether, including the punctuation. So when you have something like this, then the way to fix it is to select the entire paragraph in InDesign, okay? And then from there, you're going to go to your tracking setting there in the characters section, and you're going to reduce your tracking to a negative increment or increase your tracking by a positive increment by increments of like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and at the absolute most 30. And then if you were to increase the tracking to a positive amount, what that's going to do is bump a word or two from the line above down to this last line so that this word isn't by itself anymore. If you decrease it by a negative increment, it's going to run back the word that's on the line by itself up to the line above it. So it's included with the rest of that paragraph, okay? So that's how you fix an orphan. And then just let me see if you have any examples of anything else in here that I can bring to your attention. Nope, it looks good. Beautiful work. Really great job. Thank you so much. Next up is Tate. Tate did the kite runner. So here's your great cover. Okay, so we used our villain image as our inside front cover. Looks good. I love this title page. Really nice typography. Beautiful work. Nice font choice. I love it. Really great. Ooh, look at that. Publisher page looks super professional. You typed it all out. Looks really nice. Really good. Now we have this huge table of contents. Look at you. Really cool. Looks good. So the chapter 1 header is not going to be included on the table of contents page. So just keep that in mind next time. Good. And then, yeah, looks good. Okay, let's go ahead and keep going. Great. So we have our settings poster next to our chapter 1 page. Looks good. So I'm happy to see chapter 1 is starting over here on the right side. And we have page 1 here. That looks good. Really nice. Good, and I'm happy to see, oh wait, so to separate our paragraphs, I need you to either do an extra line space between the two or give us an indent, one or the other, okay? But good, your headings look good, your page numbers look great. Great, nice and consistent all the way through. Really beautiful. Oh, this looks so great. Good. Good, okay, so you used your hero image as your inside back cover. Great, and then your back cover looks really nice. Great job, Tate. Way to go. Thank you. Next up, we have Cecilia. Cecilia's book is Legend of Drizzt Homeland. And we have this gorgeous cover that I love so much. Oops, sorry, that I love so much. We've got your travel poster here as the inside front cover. Good. We have a good looking title page with your D&D editor's logo at the bottom. Looks good. Great. Your editor's page looks really nice. I like this little double swords here. That icon looks lovely. Great. Okay. So up here, we usually don't include the headers on these pages, but your table of contents looks really nice. It's very complete. You filled the whole thing out. Wow. And you typed out your entire publisher's page. Really amazing. Good. So usually with a a table of contents, we include the pages that we can jump to, So if you include the pages, you probably are going to want to justify a line, at least these sections here. You could leave your part one, part two, all those centered, but you would usually, if you were to include pages, you might have like some sort of a line or a bunch of ellipses to draw the eye over to the page number easily, and then you would want to justify alignment. Okay? Sorry, my thing is skipping so fast. Cool, so you included a prelude on yours. It's not included in the table of contents, so make sure that you would include that if you were laying something like this out for a client in the future. But I'm happy to see it starts on the right-hand side, and that's your page one. Good, your header looks nice. This is interesting. I like it. Instead of having it be at the top, you kind of stuck it in on the side and you did a beautiful text wrap. That looks nice. I'm really happy to see that your paragraphs have an indent to give us some visual separation. Make sure, oh my gosh, you typed all this out too. Whew, wow, way to go. So this right here looks like it's either a new paragraph or it was supposed to run back after Underdark. So just check for things like that, and then same with this. This is the Underdark, and then this looks like this is either a new paragraph or it's supposed to run back. So if these in fact are new paragraphs, you need an indent there as well, okay? And then let's check out the rest. This looks good. Hold on. Okay. All right. Sorry, every time I hit the button, it's really jumping. Gorgeous illustration. That looks so nice. Okay, so we have a blank page here. So this part one could have started on page 3. That would have been fine, or you could include an illustration over here, something like that, okay? But I noticed that your text then changes. Oh, it is a quote. Okay, so maybe that's why it's more bold here. But this looks really nice, the way that this illustration is included on the page. That's not lovely. Looks nice. Great. Okay, so here's chapter 1. Yeah, that looks good. So since your book didn't start at chapter 1, it started with the prelude, it's okay for then chapter 1 to not start on the right page. If you wanted to, you can always start chapter 1 on the right, even if there is a prelude at the beginning, because just to be safe, you know what I mean? Like there's no harm in starting chapter 1 on the right side and leaving a blank left-hand page, okay? A lot of times though, we don't see blank right-hand pages in books, okay? Your headings look great, your page numbers look good. Great, so this is your inside back cover. That's nice, okay, that's cool. And then your back outside cover looks fantastic. So I just want to bring a few more things to your attention that I didn't mention before, so it's not an issue right now at all, but it is my responsibility to tell you about it. So this right here is called an orphan. An orphan is when there is one word by itself on a line of text there, and the word itself, including punctuation, is less than 7 characters long, okay? So like bother with the period, that is 7 characters, so that's okay. That's not considered an orphan. But queen is only 6 and front is only 6, and anything less, those are all orphans. So to remedy this, we don't want to have any orphans throughout our entire document. To remedy it, you select the entire paragraph, or you can just select one of the sentences in the paragraph, but usually I do the whole paragraph because then it's not as obvious. And then in InDesign, you adjust your tracking for that paragraph to either a negative increment or a positive increment of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, or 30. If you were to give it a negative increment, what that's going to do is run back this word up to join the line above it. So then this paragraph will just be one line less. It'll take up, less vertical space. Or if you were to adjust it as a positive increment, it's going to then drop down a word or two from the line above it to join this line down here, to join the word on this line down here, okay? So That's how you fix that. You never go beyond 30 though, otherwise it's too hard to read, okay? And then I'm just going to look for a couple more things real fast. Oh, that's it. Great. So that's it. Thank you so much, Cecilia. Great work. Next up is Chance. Chance's book is Alice in Wonderland. So for your cover, we have a drawing. I would have really liked to see this illustrated in Illustrator specifically for your cover. This is your inside front cover will work. And then we have our title page. Looks good. So usually the title page will also include the author of the book, okay? And I do recommend giving yourself some different change in font size to show some visual hierarchy. So the title of the page is usually the largest. I'm sorry, the title of the book is usually the largest, and then the author and illustrator are going to be smaller size fonts. Okay, then let's see what we've got next. We have our publishing page. Okay, great. Looks like there's good. So we've got this information here, then we have some placeholder text. You want to make sure that you include a margin so that the text isn't running all the way to the trim line, all right? And then we don't need to title this page, publishing page, okay? It just has the publisher's information on there, all right? Then over here, we've got table of contents. I recommend keeping the same font that you used as the headings on the other pages instead of switching the font up here for title of contents. And then we also have the word content, so it's one or the other. We don't need both there, okay? Then we have chapters and page. Okay, make sure that chapters is at least, you don't have to include both of these, titles and page, as like column uh, column categories. But if you do want to keep it, put the word chapters above the actual chapter section, okay? And then I would decrease the amount of space between these two here. So that's just going to be in your bullet and number settings. You would just decrease that to just like one space there. But this looks nice. And then, like I said, you need a margin so that these words aren't all the way to the gutter, which is where two pages come together, or to this trim line over here on the side, okay? Great, let's see what's next. Okay, so we have chapter 1. All right, so chapter 1 is going to usually start there. It's going to always start on the right-hand page, but I'm happy to see that it's page 1 at chapter 1. That looks good. We have a nice header size over here. Looks good. And then you included a little illustration of Alice. Good. I'm happy to see that. I think that these came from a different source though. So I would like to have seen something that you illustrated yourself by hand, okay? I don't want to see other people's work in your work, okay? Then for our paragraph, all right, for our body copy layout, this looks nice. You have a nice margin, looks really good. You have a good footer space, that looks really nice. To separate your paragraphs, you need to either have an extra line of space between the paragraphs or an indent at the beginning of each paragraph, okay? Over here on this page, we lost our margins and our gutter, so we need to have your margins be the same on all pages. Same with these pages, we need margins, we need visual separation of the paragraphs with either an indent or an extra line space. We have another drawing. We need these drawings to be made in either Illustrator or Photoshop, okay? Same with this one, they need to be made in Illustrator or Photoshop, and they need to be your own work, okay? We still need margins that are consistent with the first page of the chapter all the way around. Your headings look good. There needs to be a bit of a margin above the headings as well, though. Everything needs to be pushed down a bit further, okay? Whenever you have an image placed inside of, on the same page with text, you're going to want a margin around the image as well, okay? At least like a 1/4 of an inch to separate the text so it doesn't bump into the image, okay? Then we've got our inside back cover and our back cover. So we are either one page too long or too short. We want that inside back cover to fall on the right-hand side, and then the back cover would be by itself on the left-hand side, okay? And once again, the back cover also laid out in Illustrator. All right, thank you. Next up is Dawn's. Dawn's book is Where the Crawdads Sing. We've got this wonderful cover that I love so much with all these primary colors. It's so great. Okay, you used a simple gradient for your inside front cover. Great idea. We have this lovely image for your title page of the crane, and this crane comes in other parts of your illustrations too, and your photos, or the photos that you manipulate in Photoshop. So I think it's a nice theme to have throughout. It looks really nice. I see that you added a little line stroke to separate the text and make it readable from the image behind it. So it looks nice. Really beautiful, Dawn. Great, we've got our publisher page. I do recommend with the publisher information that you left align it, or that if it's center aligned, that you break it up into some paragraphs a bit, just to give it some, just some kind of separation a little bit, you know what I mean? So it doesn't look like one giant chunk of text, But I'm happy to see that publisher logo and some different color in the font. That looks nice. Great. Your table of contents looks good. Good. So you used some columns there. It looks nice. So a lot of times I would give part one maybe a bold text to kind of separate it a bit. And then with chapters, we usually, I mean, with the table of contents, there's usually page numbers included, so we know which pages to jump to. So, just keep that in mind if you're laying something like this out again in the future. Sorry. This is chapter one. Looks good. I love these big colors. I'm happy to see chapter one starting on the right-hand side of the layout and page one down here for chapter one. That looks good. So you do have in your table of contents a prologue. So if you were to include the prologue, then page one could start at the prologue as well, okay? And then you just used a nice gradient again to fill in the blank page to show that it's intentionally blank. It looks nice. Good, good. So your headings look good. When we're using a large font like this for the body copy, this font for your header, it may be the same size, but it is showing smaller than your body text. So I recommend increasing the font size for that. It looks nice as bold. You can definitely keep that, but I would just up it a point or two for your header. And then when you have paragraphs, we need to visually separate them either by an extra line space or by an indent at the beginning of each paragraph, okay? So one or the other there. But your margins all look really nice. Now we have your settings poster looks great, and your heroine image. I do see this thing here still. So even in InDesign, you can create like a white rectangle that goes down this side to make that a nice straight line like the rest of your document. So you can just kind of, cheat that part by throwing in an extra shape over there. And when you output it, you won't even know. It'll look great. That looks good. Good. I see your villain image. Oh, and you even showed me like the layout with your bleeds and stuff and your printer marks on there. That's a nice addition. We've got our gradients again and about the author. It looks really good with the portrait on there, and a little map of the area looks fantastic. And this wonderful back cover looks great. This is a great way to treat the inside front back cover. Great work, Dawn. Way to go. Thank you. Next up is Alexis. Alexis' book is Throne of Glass. We've got our beautiful cover here. It looks so good. Let's go ahead and check out what's next. Great. So we have a nice subtle color here for your inside front cover. I like that because it shows that it's intentional. So it looks really nice that you intentionally left it blank, but you gave it a little color. We've got our title page. So I love the way you treated your typography here. It looks really nice. I love the word of smaller, really beautiful. And I love this color that you added. And then you have another font down here. I don't necessarily think this font is appropriate for the book because this is like a marker font and I don't know, I just don't really see the relationship, but let's keep going. So next up we have our publisher page. This is good. This is all we need, the information. It's great, nice and simple. This is our table of contents. I know you only have one chapter, so that's fine that there's just one thing included on here. And we have our page number 1. I'm going to come back to this table of contents in a second. Now we have our settings image as our first image of the book and our chapter 1 starting on the right-hand side, which is fantastic. We've got page 1 down here that looks so good. We've got an awesome drop cap. I love seeing that you chose an extra line space to visually separate your paragraphs, but you also didn't indent, so good job there. And then we have this great font up here for chapter 1. I love seeing it in a different color. It looks really good. So what I was going to mention, so this font is definitely more appropriate. I love it. So I would use that font on your title page here as well, instead of mixing all these different fonts. Okay, I'd keep it consistent through the whole layout. And you can make your table of contents that font as well. It doesn't need to be as large as it is here for chapter 1. It could be a different color. It doesn't have to be the same color, but having the same 2 fonts throughout the whole book is the best way to make the whole thing look very consistent and professional, okay? This looks great, so I'm happy to see that you experimented with some different frame shapes and you did a nice text wrap, so that's cool. Working with circles and text wrap can be a bit tricky. And so you also, when you do a text wrap, you want to give it a margin too, so that the text isn't butting right up against it. Because when it does butt up against it, sometimes people think that they're missing some words um, behind the image, like that something happened with the layout and they're missing part of the story. And it's also hard for the eye to track across this line. Um, because the image is so wide. So I recommend when using a circular edge to put it over on the left-hand side or the right-hand side and not centering it, because then you don't have any text continuing onto the other side of the image. It wraps nicely and it just cooperates the best in InDesign, okay? But your header looks fantastic and so do your page numbers. I'm really happy to see that you experimented with that image wrap. Right here, it looks like we missed an extra line space before this paragraph started here. So just double check those things. Same with after this word here. It looks like there might need to be an extra line space. Okay, let me keep going. Oh, this is so great. This looks really good. Really nice. Cool. Okay, so then we have our inside back cover here, and we have our beautiful, gorgeous back cover there. And I'm fine with an intentionally blank page to make sure that those other pages fall where they're supposed to fall. And especially if the blank page is at the end, either of a chapter or the book, obviously not floating in the middle of the whole layout. So a few things that I want to bring to your attention that I didn't mention, so you won't get any points marked off, but it's my responsibility to tell you about it so that when you have future formatting assignments that you know these things. So first of all, if you're working with placeholder text, make sure that you just double check your punctuation at the end of um, visually obvious areas like the end of a paragraph like this, and you just want to add a period, okay? So sometimes with this place holding text, we can delete extra paragraphs, extra words, because it's not like the person that is looking at your layout is going to be completely fluent in Latin, let alone is going to read the whole thing and be like, oh, this doesn't make sense. There's several words missing in this sentence, right? So that's fine, but just make sure that, excuse me, you double check your punctuation at the end of each paragraph. Secondly, let me just go back to the page before it. Okay, so this right here is what we call an orphan. An orphan is a word that's by itself on a line that's less than 7 characters long, including the punctuation, okay? So when we have an orphan, we don't want to have any orphans throughout the entire document. So when you do run into one, what you're going to do is select the entire paragraph. This paragraph is only 1 sentence long, so it doesn't give us too many choices here, but you're going to go into your tracking setting in InDesign, and you're just going to adjust the tracking either a positive or negative increment of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, or 30 increments, okay? So if you adjust it in positive increments, what that's going to do is spread the letters out so that eventually this word will drop down to join the word on the line below it. If you adjust it in negative increments, it's going to reduce the amount of space between each letter until this word runs back up to the line above it and joins the words on the line above it. And so this is going to become the paragraph will be one line shorter, but it won't have any orphans, okay? Let me just look through here if there's anything else. Yep, looks good. So really great work. Thank you so much, Alexis. Next up is Max. Max's book is The Road. We've got this gorgeous cover that I love very, very much. Let's see what else. Cool. So you have your author's name. Love it. You have your author's name repeated as a nice pattern. Really beautiful for the inside front cover. Really cool idea. Looks really nice. And you've got your settings poster in a grayscale. Looks beautiful. That's a nice introduction to the book. Then we have an intentionally blank left-hand side page, and we've got an awesome looking title page. I love this repetition. It's really great because it's reminiscent of not only your outside front cover with your line going back and forth, but also the inside cover with the author's name pattern that you created. I love seeing the publisher's information at the bottom. Looks really good. We've got a gorgeous publisher page on the left-hand side. Fantastic. You typed it all out. Looks so good. This is cool. I love the consistency in this, Max. It looks so good. I love the table of contents title is larger than the contents itself. We have our page numbers included. This is so neat how it works off of this column that you made there. Really neat. Really cool. I love it. I love the variation in the grays that you use too. It's a really nice touch. Really good. Great. Wow, this is so different. It looks really good. You know, in this grayscale, he looks like all this is his beard. You know, it makes the guy look completely different when it's all such a low key image like that. That looks really neat, really cool. And I love all this texture. It turned out really cool. I see that your chapter 1 starts on the right-hand page. It looks fantastic. You experimented with some columns. I'm cool with that. I love it. So usually when we're doing a layout, we do not indent the first paragraph, but we do indent or give an extra line space between the rest of the paragraphs, okay? So you need to visually separate the rest of the paragraphs either with an extra line space or an indent. And then usually chapter 1 is where your book is going to start page 1, okay? But this looks really good. Your headings look great. Your margins look good. Your page numbers. This looks great. Great, great, great. Cool. We got this great image here as our last page of the book. And then we have this beautiful pattern again for the inside back cover and then your awesome outside back cover. Way to go, Max. It looks awesome. Thank you. Next up is Kelvin's. Kelvin did Crazy Rich Asians. This is so great. I love this cover so much. Looks really great. I love seeing Dadaist work. Next is our inside front cover. Oh, looks great. Okay, so we did rotate our layout to be horizontal. Oh, no, we didn't. I see what you did here. Let me go back. Let me just change the viewing here. Page display, single page view. There we go. Okay, now we have the right layout. Look at this beautiful photo for your inside front cover. That works. Your title page looks fantastic. I love your different sized fonts for the different areas of the info. So you created some really nice visual hierarchy here. Your publisher logo looks really nice. I noticed that your page color is not white, so that's a really nice touch too. Your publisher page looks fantastic, as well as your table of contents. I love this font that you chose. This looks fantastic, really good. I'm so happy to see that you included page numbers. Looks great. Way to go, Kelvin. You've got your travel poster. Um, okay, and you included a prologue. Let me just go back here. Good. So you got your prologue in the table of contents. This looks really nice. Really good. You got a little image here. Looks beautiful. Good work. Really nice. Yes, and your prologue starts on page 1, so that's really great. You have your headers here and our page numbers. Good. And so usually we will separate paragraphs with either an indent or an extra space. So something happened here where you have both. This is acceptable. A lot of times there will be a new section where like the idea changes or the setting changes within one chapter. And so you will see an extra line space. Sometimes they'll separate it with like a tiny little image or like a wingding of some sort, but sometimes they don't use anything like that. They just use a couple extra line spaces. So that's cool. I'm fine with that. Okay. Oops, sorry. Great. Okay. And then we have our heroine image there, and we have our villain. Looks good. And then our great photo again for the inside back cover and the outside back cover. Great. Great, I love it. So let me just show you a few things here that I didn't mention, but it's my responsibility to tell you about for future classes. Let me find one real quick here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That doesn't count. I'm just trying to find an example of an orphan if there is one. Good. Okay, so there's no orphans here, but there is what we call a widow. So what an orphan is when there's a word that's like very short like this on a line by itself. So this one doesn't count as an orphan because it's not by itself. But if you did see that, you would want to adjust your tracking until that word jumped up and joined the other words on the line above it, or you can increase your tracking so that the word from the line above it drops down and joins the word on the line below, okay? So that's an orphan. You don't want to have any orphans in your entire document. This right here below this, this is what we call a widow. So a widow is when you have one line of a paragraph on either a page or in a column by itself. You want to have at least 2 lines of a paragraph together. So when this happens, what you can do is, if it's at the end of a page, you can select a larger paragraph somewhere on the page, somewhere else on the page, and you can increase your tracking or decrease your tracking. If you decrease the tracking, that's going to reduce the space between each letter in that paragraph. It's going to make them squeeze together a bit more until until you lose a line completely not lose, I should say, you reduce the amount of vertical lines of text in that paragraph so that now this paragraph will have its second line of text join it on this page. Or you can increase the tracking in this paragraph to make some of the words at the end of the paragraph drop down to make an extra line then. And what that will do is bump all the rest of the page, the text after it, down by a line. So now this line of text will start on the next page over, okay? So throughout your work, you don't want to have any widows and any orphans. When you're using placeholder text like this and you are breaking it up to create new paragraphs, just make sure that you include punctuation at the end of each paragraph because that's a visually obvious spot where people might get distracted. It's not like that big of a deal, but you just want to make sure that you have all of your details covered. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure what happened on this page, but I do see that you have like an extra line of space between each paragraph, and you just wouldn't normally have that if you also have indents, okay? Great. But that's it. Thank you so much, Kelvin. Great work. Next up is Diane. Diane's book is Robinson Crusoe. So here's our outside front cover, looking good. So our inside front cover, you use this image here that you created in Photoshop. It looks good. We have our title page. It looks nice. I really like this color combination that you created here. Okay, we have a couple different fonts. So I would definitely make the title the largest thing on the page, just to create some visual hierarchy there. So, and then make the rest a little bit smaller. Like 1719 does not need to be that large, okay? Especially not larger than the cover. I'm sorry, than the title of the book. And we got our publisher page here. It's missing a lot of information, okay? Um, so just take a look at what a publisher page looks like and just basically copy that. So here's our table of contents. This is really nice, this little image you added there, and you gave us some 3D text effects. That's really cool. It's nice because we have this image that's 3D as well, so that kind of plays off of it. I would title this page table of contents or just contents, just for the future when you lay something like this out. This you do not need to leave the words intentionally left blank, okay? Um, but this looks nice, how you treated your chapter one and title of the chapter. You did change the height in the text size, I mean, and the color. That looks really good, okay? Really good. Wow, you wrote out the book. Really nice. So when you write out the book, just keep, we definitely want this first word to be capitalized. And I noticed there was somewhere else in here that had lowercase first letter of the sentence. I just saw it, but right here, the river down here at the bottom. So just keep that stuff in mind. People are going to be looking at at the details. Okay, this looks really nice. I'm glad to see that you experimented with text wrapping around the image. It looks good. So when we use text wrap, you want to give yourself a margin around it so that the text isn't really close to the edge of the images. Okay, so just next time, make sure you add a margin there. You'll notice it right next to the text wrap button over there in the properties panel. And then when we have different paragraphs, you want to separate the paragraphs either with an extra line space or with an indent. You need to pick one or the other, okay? But it'll help break up the page and look really nice. Same with here. We've got we've got some paragraphs here, but we need to give it some more visual separation with an indent or a line break. Same with these. Also with your headers at the top, we need more of a margin above them. We don't want them touching the trim line. So give yourself at least 1/4 of an inch up there. Okay, looks good. Looks really nice. I can't believe you typed this all out. You're incredible. Great, we've got our little travel poster. Oh yeah, with some birds. Okay, great. So you used your travel poster as your inside back cover. And we got our backside cover. Great. Thank you so much, Diane. Next up is Violet. Violet's book is The Hunger Games. So Violet, it looks like something happened with um, sort of a bit of pixelation when you saved your file for your cover. Let me just see. Yeah, so it's just the outside cover, but so I'm not sure why it downsampled your image so much, but I still love this cover so much. I really love this texture in the gray too. It looks so good. We used our heroine image and we have a synopsis for the inside front cover. That's nice. And then we've got our title page. Oh, cool. You kind of grayscaled it out and then added all this red. It's very dramatic. Really nice. Really nice use of your travel poster. And that looks good. It looks really good. Okay. And then we've got our publishing page. This looks perfect. You typed it all out. Looks nice. Table of contents looks good. I would justify align this and it'll just look a lot cleaner, like a nice clean column. But this looks really nice here, and you have your little logo there. I would give yourself more of a margin at the top, just at least 1/4 of an inch margin all the way around, okay? Oh, this is nice. I like that. Way to fill in space. Looks good. And then your chapter one looks fantastic. I love the change in font size, font weight, and I love this horizontal rule with your little icon there. It looks really good, really good. Good, and we have our headers at the top and our pages at the bottom, page numbers at the bottom. Really nice. Good, I'm just flipping through. Great, we've got our villain image. Great. So our hero image was at the front. That looks good. And then this is our back outside cover, which is really lovely. Great. So if you have a blank page like this, I would just get rid of the header and just override the master for this page and delete the page number and the header, okay? Then I just want to point out a few things to you that I didn't mention before, but it's important for me to tell you about them. This right here is called an orphan. This is when you have a word that is, including the punctuation, it's less than 7 characters on one line by itself. So this is an orphan, and this is an orphan here. And I noticed, I'm sorry, this one down here. And I noticed some on the previous pages. You don't want to have any orphans throughout your entire document. So to remedy that, you would select the entire paragraph, and then you would either increase or decrease the tracking by increments of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, or 30. Never go past 30, okay? So if you decrease the tracking, what that's going to do is reduce the amount of space between each letter in this paragraph until this word runs back and joins the line above it, okay? Joins the words on the line above. If you increase the tracking, it's going to increase the space between all the words, all the letters in the paragraph until one of the words, at least one, from the line above it drops down to the last line there and joins that word that's by itself, okay? So that's how you fix that. And then let me just see if there's anything else on here. When you're working with placeholder text and you break up a paragraph for just, because you can, make sure that you put some punctuation at the end of that line, okay? Great. And then let me just see. This right here is like an orphan, but we call it a widow. I don't know why I didn't make up these terms. I think it's time for them to change. But a widow is when there is a line of text by itself on a page or in a column that should be joined with the rest of its paragraph. So when you have a widow, we need to choose a larger paragraph on the page before it, not on the page before it, but before the widow. And from there, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to increase or decrease your tracking. So for this one, since this last line of text there's so much of it, I would just probably increase the tracking until some of the words from this last line drop down and make this paragraph one line longer. What that's going to do then is push all the text after it down, and this line will jump then to the next page and start with the rest of its paragraph on the other page. If there was only one word or so left of this paragraph on a line by itself, then I would decrease the tracking of this paragraph until that line ran back, making this paragraph one line shorter. And then what that would mean is that a line from this paragraph would then come back and join this widowed line by itself at the end of this page. Okay, I hope that makes sense. But that's just something that I got to tell you about when you're formatting stuff to keep in mind when you're formatting for projects in the future. Okay, great job. Thank you so much, Violet. Next up is Nathaniel. Nathaniel's book is The Lord of the Flies. This is a really beautiful cover. Nathaniel, it looks so nice. I can see your front outside text in here. We don't need to include that for the final output, okay? So just be sure to get rid of stuff like that, okay? Let's keep going. Okay, we got this really nice plane crash illustration for our inside front cover. This is a really neat pattern that you created up here too. That looks really cool. And this pattern in here, really a nice way to add texture. Lovely. Then we've got our Lord of the Flies title page. Looks pretty good. This publisher icon is just feeling a little unbalanced, so I would just kind of make it align with either the bottom of this text or come in a little bit from the left side. It's just feeling a little bit unbalanced. Okay, let's keep going. This publisher page looks fantastic. Really good. I'm so happy that you kind of wrote it all out. Looks really nice. Table of contents also looks beautiful. I love the alignment. The justified alignment looks really good, and that you included all these beautiful page numbers. I definitely recommend making this larger. It may be the same height as this text, but because of the style of the font, it is reading smaller and it should read a little bigger. So give it one or two at least sizes up higher, font points higher. I'm sorry, I went the wrong way. Great. Oh, and so your table of contents continued onto the next page. That's totally cool. Up here we have, next we have chapter 1. I'm so happy to see chapter 1 starting on a right-hand page. And then we start at page 1. That's really good. This is really nice, your treatment of the different font heights. And it's two different style fonts. It looks like maybe it's not. Maybe those T's are just extra special, extra curly. Yeah, they are. It's the same font. Okay. Looks good. Looks really nice. So the only thing I see here is that it looks like you have an extra tab, extra lines, extra indentation there, okay? Also, when you're working with placeholder text and you break up a paragraph just to give it some visual separation, make sure that you include punctuation at the end of that paragraph, okay? Looks good. I'm happy to see those headers up there at the top. Your page numbers centered look really nice. Good. And then just double check for where paragraphs break that you give yourself an indent in all of the paragraphs, okay? There's one over here too. All right, and down here, okay? Good. Then we have your awesome settings poster. Great. So we don't need this text here, okay? Because we already have that on the title page and on the cover. And then don't forget to keep going with your indents and separate all these paragraphs throughout. Great. And then you included your hero your hero image. Good. Looks good. Cool. This is a neat illustration that I haven't seen. Looks really nice. Oh wait, this might not be your hero. I'm trying to remember. But this looks really cool. This is really beautiful. I love it. Really ominous. All red and black. It looks really neat. Great. And then you got your back cover. That looks really good. Really nice. Way to go. Good, good, good. So let me point out a couple of things. If you continue on with graphic design projects, this right here is called an orphan, just the word vent. There we go. So an orphan is a word that is 7 characters or less, including the punctuation, when it's on a line by itself at the end of a paragraph. So to remedy that, you would just select the entire paragraph and then change your tracking to either a positive or negative increments of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, up to 30 at the absolute most. And what that's going to do is if you adjust it in a positive increment, it's going to increase the spacing between all the letters in the paragraph until 1 or 2 words from the line above it drop down to join it on the line below. If you adjust it by negative increments, then it's going to decrease the amount of space between each letter until this word that's by itself runs back and joins the line of text above it, okay? So that's how you get rid of an orphan, and you don't want any orphans throughout your whole layout. And then I have to show you one more example. This right here is called a widow. Sorry, this one. Come here, you. I'm trying to select it here. There we go. So a widow is when there is a line from a paragraph that is by itself on a page or in a column. So we want that one line to be joined by at least a second line of text from the paragraph. So unless the paragraph is just one sentence long, which sometimes they do that, authors do that for emphasis, but if it's part of the rest of a longer paragraph, it needs to join it. So to do that, you usually will select a different paragraph from the page, like a long one. I select a long one. And then from there, you're going to adjust the tracking of this paragraph. And what that's going to do is if you increase the tracking enough, it's going to then drop some of the some of the words down a line to create an extra line so that this paragraph becomes vertically longer. And when that happens, all of the text after it's going to drop down by a line, and that's going to bump this line of text next to start onto the next page, okay? So since this last sentence of this paragraph is pretty long, come on, I'm trying to select it, but it's not letting, there we go. Since this last line of text is pretty long, I would increase this positively because it's not going to take too many increments for it to then create a new line of text. If there was only 1 or 2 words at the end of this paragraph, I would decrease the tracking in a negative increment to make those two words or so run back to the line above it. So then it is decreasing the height of this paragraph by a line. And what that would do is then bump all this text up by a line and make this second line of this paragraph run back and start on this page over here instead. Okay, so that's orphans and widows, and that's how you get rid of them. And other than that, you did a great job, Nathaniel. Thank you so much. Next up is Cheyenne. Cheyenne did the Crone one, and this cover looks really great. I'm just going to change the way I'm viewing this. Let me see here. There we go. So now we've got our beautiful inside front cover, and this title page looks gorgeous. So really nice work with these designs. I love it. I love the texture running through the whole thing. Looks really good. I love this font a lot. It looks really nice. These horizontal rules look really beautiful. When you have an icon or a logo like this that has a white background and you want to show texture through it, in InDesign, just select that image there, like click on it, and then go to your properties panel and change the blending mode to multiply. And then what that will do is anywhere you see white, it'll disappear and you'll see the background come through. It'll turn it into a transparency. Oh, sorry. Okay, then we have our publisher page. It looks really nice. And you wrote it all out. Thank you so much. You got all the info on there. It looks really good. Then we used your settings poster next. And then you have a table of contents. Since it's so long, you broke it up over 2 pages. That looks nice. Really good. Nice layout. You included your page numbers. You justified the layout, the paragraphs. It looks really nice. Really good. Great. So chapter 1 needs to start over on the right page, just for future reference if you're laying out anything else like this, okay? You want your chapter 1 or intro to always start on the right page. Your headers look really nice. I love that you made a big difference in the font size, the color. It looks really nice, really good between chapter 1 and the title of it. Looks good. Great. Nice font choices. You have your paragraphs separated with indents only and not an extra line spacing as well. So just go through and double check these before you submit them in the future to other projects or clients. If you have another paragraph break, be sure to indent. So always just double check those details, okay? Oops, sorry. Great, this looks really nice. Really good. Here's another one that needed a little indent, okay? Good. Good, so you have your hero image, and we've got chapter 2, really cool. Sorry. Good, I love this villain image so much. I'm sorry, these are jumping so fast. You even included about the author, really nice. Oh, and you wrote it all out? Woo! Really beautiful. And we've got our inside back cover, looks gorgeous. Oh, I just realized you also included that texture all the way through the entire book. Looks really nice. And then you've got your beautiful back cover. Really nice job. Thank you so much, Cheyenne. Way to go. Last up is Megan G. Megan's book is It Ends With Us. Beautiful cover. I love it so much. Let me go ahead and change my view mode here. Okay, there we go. So you have a really nice solid color for your inside front cover. Works totally nice with me. We've got a little image included on our title page. It looks great. So usually I would say do a line break to include the word with, to include it with us. But I like that us is by itself for this title specifically. Like it ends with us. It gives it us a little bit more emphasis there. So that works. Yeah, and then you have your author's name and your little publisher logo down there. Looks great. Sorry, this is jumping really fast. Okay, we've got our publisher info over here. I do recommend breaking this up a bit more to look like the alignment on an actual publisher page. Since it's mostly placeholder text, it can just read as a little bit confusing. Like we don't know if it's included with the other body copy. Okay, so I do see this line here. or I'm sorry, publisher page here, but yeah, just, check out a publisher page, break up the paragraph so it looks a little bit more like it. So with contents, I'm sorry, go back you. Okay. With the table of contents here, we want it to read like a table of contents. So you want to list like chapter 1, chapter 2, da 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 da, and then page 1, page 7, page 103, whatever you got there. Okay. So have it be separated like line by line more instead of paragraphs of text, even if you're using placeholder text. Okay. Great. So I'm happy to see chapter 1 is started over on the right hand side. I'm happy to see that you have nice font variations as far as size and placement goes. That looks really good. And then it looks like you separated your paragraph using an extra line space and no indent, so that's great. You do not need a header on this page, okay? But I'm happy to see that page 1 is also starting here. Looks good. So your header looks great here. Before you turn in any assignments for layout things like this in the future, and you're using placeholder text, just go back through and double check that if you have a paragraph end, that you give it the next one an extra line space. These are easy to overlook, so just take the time to go through it and double check those, okay? You have your beautiful hero image here. It looks great. We have our villain image, looks awesome. Here's another spot where we needed an extra line space to separate those paragraphs. We've got our gorgeous, gorgeous settings poster, which I love. And then you have your inside back cover as the solid red. Looks fantastic. And your beautiful back cover. Thank you. Looks so good. Thank you so much, Megan. Thank you, everyone. You all did so great in this class. I know that summer school is not easy, and this was a large workload, and I'm very demanding, obviously, but you all did really wonderful. You pushed yourselves out of your comfort zones. You learned about all kinds of new graphic design eras that I hope that you take forward with you in your work. If you're fine artists, I hope that somehow it influenced your fine art work. If you're graphic designers, I hope that it enlightened you and that you learned so much about layout and typography, as well as all of you now are pros in Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop, and you got just the surface scratched of InDesign, but you know enough about InDesign to make you dangerous, which I think is really powerful. And if you enjoyed the animation stuff, I hope that you take an animation class and really get into that even further. I want to hear from you all in the future. Hopefully, you'll take more of my classes, and I'll see you all again. All right. Have a great one. Bye, everybody.